Hi class, today we're going to be looking at Chapter 5, Group 4, Comprehensive Problem 1. And you should be able to see Schedule B. In this problem, we're going to be John Williams, and John Williams, according to the first paragraph, has some interest on a savings account. And that interest on the savings account would be recorded on this Schedule B. Of course, Schedule B should have his name and the Social Security number of the person. And on part 1, what we're going to list is the name of the payer. That's the bank that's paying the interest. Nevada National Bank is the bank that paid the interest, and the amount of the interest is $13,691. So this is where you're going to list your interest that you have earned off of a regular checking or savings account. And this happens to be from Nevada National Bank. And this was the amount of his interest. So that's the only bank that he had any interest at. And so we're going to add the total here in line 2. And then we didn't have anything to enter in line 3. And so in line 4, we're going to subtract line 3, which was 0, from line 2. And that leaves us with 13,691. Now you can see here, they're telling you that you'll need to go to form 1040 and you'll need to enter this amount on line 2B. So don't forget to enter this amount on line 2B. So make sure you go to form 1040, line 2B, and enter this amount on here. Later on in the discussion, I'm going to show you the 1040 form where that is entered. And so that would go on, again, line 2B. All right, and so that goes on the 1040 form. All right, we're going to also need to complete in this problem the HSA form 8889. So I'm going to go to that form, and I'm going to pull it up for you. Bear with me just a second. Oh, let's see if I can get to it. Form 884 here. Okay, I think you ought to be able to see this form now. And on this form 8889 health savings account, you'll start by entering the name of the client and the Social Security number. And then you basically just read about what's happened in part 1. So we're going to start with part 1. We're going to check the box to indicate the coverage under a high deductible health plan during 2020. And they tell you to see the instructions. And if you look on your instructions in the 4th paragraph, it says that John participates in a high deductible health plan and is eligible to contribute to a health savings account. So that's how we know that he's able to do this. And so that's why we're going to select that self only and check it off. We're going to move to then line 2, which says HSA contributions you made for, this should be 2019. Obviously, I've got a 2020, but there's not much difference in the 2019 and 2019 20 form. So we are using 2019 as for our instructions. So just disregard that 2020, it'd be 2019. Line 2, the amount of $28.50 was given in your instructions. There's a list of items that John had paid during the year, which he could prove that he had paid. And so if you will look through that list, you can see there's contributions to the HSA, which was $2,850. In other words, this was given to you. The next thing you needed to do is you need to figure out what his age is. And according to your instructions, his birth date was 1976. So that makes him around the age of 45. And so it says in 3, if you were under age 55, which he was, then you could add to this an amount for 2015 is 3,500. So this 3,500 is the amount that you would put here toward the rules for the HSA. Now I know that it says this, but again, this is a 2020's stuff, so that really should be 3,500. So in 2019, it was 3,500, and we're doing 2019. In line 4, we're going to enter the amount that you and your employer contributed to your Archer MSA for 2019, and there was nothing that the employer contributed. So line 5, we're going to subtract line 4 from line 3, and that leaves us with 3,500 to enter on line 5. And then on line 6, enter the amount from line 5, because he was the only one that was carrying a high deductible health plan in his family. He's going to enter the 3,500 again. And in line 7, it says if you were age 55 or older. Well, he's not, he's 45, so there wouldn't be anything you entered there in line 7. And line 8, we're going to add line 6 and 7 together, and that's going to leave us with the 3,500 amount for 2019 for the health savings account. The employer contributions was nothing. HSS funding was nothing. You're going to add there were no distributions. In other words, they didn't tell us about that in this problem. We're going to add lines 9 and 10 together, which is 0. You're going to subtract 11 from 8, and that leaves you with 3,500. And then the HSA deduction, you're going to enter the smaller of line 2 or line 12. So line 2 was 2,850 and line 12 was 3,500. So the smaller is 2,850. Notice you're going to enter this on Schedule 1, Part 2, line 12. So when we fill out Schedule 1, this is going to go on Part 2, line 12. That's where this amount goes. And that's all we had to fill out for the HSA form. And so the next form that we're going to look at is Schedule 1. So if you'll bear with me just a minute, I'm going to pick up Schedule 1. This is John Williams, and this is his Social Security number that we just entered in there. And from Form 8889, we're going to enter 2,850. That's just what we had figured up a while ago. So what you would do is you'd read through these things and see if any of these applied to this problem, which it doesn't. So I skipped on down here to line 12 where we knew that we had that Form 8889 that we just completed, and the 2,850 is entered here. We didn't have any moving expenses or deductible part of self-employment tax. None of these applies to us. But we did have some alimony that's paid. And if you look in your instructions, they tell you that John pays his ex-wife, Sarah McLaughlin, $3,900 per month in accordance with their February 12, 2013 divorce decree. When their 12-year-old reaches age 18, the payments are going to be reduced to $2,800. So the $2,800 is alimony. So this person was also paying child support, but it's not deducted. Only alimony is, And the way that you figure that is you take the $2,800 and multiply it by 12 months in the year, and that will give you the $33,600 that's entered on line 18A. You also have to put down the person who is receiving the alimony's Social Security number, which was given in the problem, and also the divorce date, which was also given in the problem. This person also had an IRA deduction, and the deduction amount was $6,000, and that was also given in your instructions. So we didn't have any student loan interest. If we did, it would go here. Tuition or fees, we didn't have any of that. So we're going to add lines 10 through 21. We're going to combine all these together, and that's going to give us 42,450, which is going to be entered on Form 1040. Now this says line 10A because that's 2020 instructions, but I've given you here a message. So if you'll hover over this little thing right here, it'll tell you that the 2019 form should be line 8A. So we're going to pick this up and put it on the 2019 Form 1040, line 8A. That's where that's going to go. So this Schedule 1 is going to feed into the 1040 form. And so the next thing we need to complete is our Schedule A. So we're looking at Schedule A for itemized deductions. And again, you're going to put in the name of the client and the Social Security number. We didn't have any medical and dental expenses for this particular client. And so what you have to do is read to see what's applicable to this form. And we did have some sales tax that was given in your instructions. So we're going to use the general sales tax, and we're going to select this box here, check it off, and then we're going to add the amount, which was $3,700, and that was given in the third paragraph of your instructions, where it says in 2019, John purchased a new car. So he kept track of his sales tax receipts during the year. His actual sales tax paid was $3,700. That's where I'm getting that amount. He also paid some state and local real estate taxes. Most likely it was on his home. So look through the list to see where that is. The property taxes on his personal residence was $2,700. So we're getting $2,700 from the instructions. That was a given amount. We didn't have any state and local personal property taxes, but we did need to add lines 5A through 5C, which will amount to $6,400. Then on E, we're going to enter the smaller of line 5D, which is $10,000 or $5,000 if married filing separately. And the smaller is line 5D, which is $6,400. There were no other taxes, so we're going to add lines 5E and 6 together, and that gives us $6,400 that he can deduct for his taxes. And that goes on Schedule A. We'll move to the next section, which is your home mortgage interest. And that was given to you on Form 1099, mortgage interest statement given in the problem. And the amount was $19,003 rounded. So home mortgage and interest points, we're going to put that there because line 8 didn't apply to us. Only line 8A does. So that's what we're going to put down for this particular problem. And then you end up adding lines 8A through 8D, which amounts to the $19,003. And again, that's carried down to line 10. So that's all we had in interest that we paid toward our home mortgage. The next thing we had were some gifts by cash or check, and we had several of those, which you're going to combine together If you hover over the little message that I've given you here, you can see where I've outlined those for you. He contributed to the Boy Scouts. He contributed to St. Matthew's Church, and he contributed to the medical school. Now, he also contributed to the Democratic National Party, which you cannot take as a deduction, so you just ignore that. And so that's what goes here. And if you click on that, it'll expand it a little bit further. There's one more line item on that, which is the Reno Auto Museum. He bought a fundraising ticket where he ate dinner, and the value of that meal was $25. So it cost him $100 for the tickets, but you can't claim the value of the meal, so you have to subtract that out. So $75 is the amount that you can claim as a deduction. So all of these are combined to get $31,525. And then we're going to go through the rest of this. These did not apply, so we're going to add up everything from lines 11 through 13, and this is what we got. There were no casualty and theft losses. There were no other itemized deductions. So the last thing is to add them all up, add everything in this column up, and you're going to get itemized deductions of $56,928. And this goes on Form 1040. Notice I've got a message there, so hover over that. For the 2019 Form 1040, it's line 9 that you're going to put this on. I know it says line 12 here, but that's for the 2020. So you're going to put it on line 9 of the 1040 form. And then finally, we're going to go to the 1040 form, where we're going to put down the rest of the information for this problem. So again, you need to put in the name of the client, the social security number. He's single, so none, and we didn't know in the rest of this, so I didn't put any of this down. He didn't have any dependents, but he did have a W-2 form, and on the W-2 form, you'll find that his wages were $196,000. That comes from box number 1 on the W-2 form. In line 2B, we're going to attach Schedule B, which we just completed. This $13,691 comes from Schedule B. And then none of the other things of this applied to us. So we're going to get down to line 7B, where we're just combining the two of these together to get $209,691. And then we're going to put on line 8A any adjustments to income, which was from Schedule 1 that we got from Schedule 1. So that's just brought in from Schedule 1. And then we're going to subtract it from 7B, and that's going to leave you with adjusted gross income of $167,241. Now on line 9 here, we would normally put either the standard deduction or the itemized deduction, whichever one is higher. And in this case, our itemized deductions were higher. So we attach Schedule A, and from Schedule A, we get the amount of $56,928. There was no qualified business income in this problem. So we're going to subtract 56,928 from line 8B to get 11B. This is our taxable income, 110,313. And you could look that up on the tax table for this person, or this amount here was actually given in your answers on Blackboard. So go to Blackboard to get the answers for this. It's a given amount in Blackboard, but you probably could look that up on the tax table, or if you had a tax worksheet, it would come from there. And then we're going to move on to line 13. We didn't have a child, so we didn't have any of that to worry with. So we moved to line 14, which is a combination of these two, which is still $20,650. Other taxes, we didn't have any of those. We're going to add lines 14 and 15, and that gives us 20,650 again. And then we're going to look to see on the form W-2 how much tax was actually withheld from his paycheck during the year. And on form W-2 in box 2, it says there was 25,000 that he's paid in taxes through the W-2 form, or his employer has taken it out of his paycheck, 25,000. And none of this applied to us, so we're just going to go on down to line 19, which is adding line 17 and 18E together, which is still 25,000. And then if line 19 is more than line 16, line 19 is 25,000, line 16 is 20,650. Line 19 is more than line 16. So this is the amount that you overpaid. You're going to subtract the 20,650 from the 25,000, and that will leave you with 4,350 that is to be refunded to you. And that's all for this problem. So we'll see you again next time. I'm going to stop sharing this with you, and I'll see you again later. Bye-bye.